Alrighty, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is for yourself. Hopefully you're having a good one. This video, I'm just going to show you a little template, like free upper lower 4 day a week split, and how I would go about programming things for a client, etc., and how to go about setting up your program and what to take into consideration. So understand that you can run this as a 2 day on, one off, like a upper lower rest repeat, or you can run this where you have set rest days and set training days every week, which is what a lot of people like. They like having that structure within their week and not having their training days and rest days fall on different days during the week. So like for this example, we'll run it an upper lower Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday, upper lower Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we will take as rest. Okay, so a 4 day a week split. And upper lower is a very good split for if you're new to the gym, getting into the gym as a beginner, or if you're very experienced, it's also a very good split because you're going to be hitting muscle groups with higher frequency, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so starting off upper A. Now, abs, I would hit your abs 2 to 3 times a week if you're trying to bring them up. Honestly, you can even hit them 4 to 5 times a week. I'm hitting them 5 times a week. They can handle high amounts of frequency. Again, pick a movement, cable ab crunch, load it, bend and extend your spine, and load it with weight. Progress it over time. Your abs will be built like any other muscle. Okay, apply progressive overload with standardized form. Okay, but we're going to start off our upper session with that. You can start that with lower. It doesn't really matter as long as you're hitting them, and do not be skipping them unless they are like a super strong genetic strong point for you already. Okay, moving on, we have a single arm. So for this example, I'm going to say like this person that I kind of programmed this for is kind of your standard, like they need to bring up everything, but their chest and their back is what needs brought up the most. That has the most priority, and then their delts and arms are kind of on the back burner. And then for legs, it's kind of an even split, like they need more hamstrings and they need more quads. Okay, so this is kind of just like for any beginner and like kind of just a base template. Obviously, depending on the person, like their strong and weak points, the volume that you allocate to the person's setup, the like where it is hit in the session. You want to start your sessions with your weakest muscle group, with the muscle group that you're trying to prioritize. It's going to vary person to person. Obviously, exercise selection will vary too. But getting into the session, single arm lat row, whether you want to do this, whether you have a machine that you can do this on, whether you have a cable stack and you just set up a bench. I love hitting the lats with single arm movements. Okay, it allows you to line up with your body better, and it just allows for a better internal connection, I have found, for myself and clients working with. Okay, so two sets of 8 to 12 here, straight sets. Moving on, we have a pec deck fly. I like doing a fly variation prior to a press because a lot of people, they tend to get a lot of tricep and shoulder out of their presses, okay? And this just allows you to get that chest full of blood, hitting 3 hard sets on a chest fly. When you get into that incline press variation, you are going to be, your chest is already going to be pumped, so you should be able to connect with your chest a whole lot easier. Again, if that's not a problem for you, then you can start out with the incline press. That's when it's person dependent. Okay, 3 sets here, 2 sets 7 to 10, and then that last set keep a higher rep range of 10 to 12 reps. Then moving on, we have a straight bar lat pull down. So this will hit the lats in all angles in this session. We'll hit it in the sagittal plane with that single arm lat row, and now we're going to hit it in the frontal plane, bringing our elbow down to our hip pocket. Straight bar lat pull down. We have 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Again, with lat work, I think a lot of people would benefit from working in a little bit of higher rep range, dropping the load a little bit and actually moving the load with their back and not their biceps. Okay. If you're coming off your sets with a lot of bicep internal feel, like, yes, you're going to get a little bit of bicep no matter what you do, but if you come off a set of lats, you should feel your lats. If you don't, then there's a problem with either your setup or your execution. Okay, moving on, we have a incline press. So this is where it would be person dependent, kind of like what gym equipment you have. You can use a incline Smith machine, like a 20-degree incline Smith press I would like here, or if you have a really nice pin-loaded, plate-loaded press, absolutely run that. But I would keep your pressing angle somewhere around that 20 to 30 degrees within this variation, okay, on this day. Moving on to round off our back, we have a upper back machine row. So like, let's say you have a really nice seated upper back machine row at your gym, or this could look like just a standard cable upper back row with no chest support, whatever your gym has and what you connect well with. This could even look like a freaking bent over barbell row. Okay. If you connect well with that and you enjoy it, then you can run that. Okay. But we have 2 sets here, 2 sets of 6 to 8. I think for an upper back row, people would benefit from a little bit of lower reps. I mean, it's less thinking than lats, right? It's less sniper-like. It's more like rip and grip. Like, yes, keep your spine neutral, think scapular pro and retraction. But at the same time, it's less thinking. It's more just doing, okay? Machine lateral raise to end off the session. Supersetted with a tricep extension. Again, for this example, we're going to say that your biceps are lagging behind your triceps. And as well as that, we're going to say that your delts and your arms are kind of strong points within your physique. Okay. So we have 3 sets of a machine lateral raise, 8 to 12 reps, and then just superset that with a tricep extension, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Supersets get a lot of hate. If you use supersets properly, they are very efficient. Not only time efficient, well, yes, they're very time efficient, right? Like if you do a set of machine lateral raise, you walk over to the tricep extension, take 1 to 2 minutes, and do your sets of triceps. That machine lateral raise set is not going to take away from the amount of reps you're doing with the tricep extension. Now, on the flip side, do not be supersetting a freaking hack squat with a hinge, right? That is completely different. But for these smaller muscle groups, man, like if you like you could be warming up across the gym and just saving you time. Okay, so that is how I would round off this upper A session. Okay, or again, you can hit straight sets if you have the time, then just do both of those as straight sets. So again, triceps are a little bit more ahead of our biceps, which is exactly why I would take, just so you don't have a super lengthy upper session with literally hitting biceps, triceps, shoulders, chest, and back. I would go with moving your weaker arm, or even if this looks like your side delts, to the beginning of your lower sessions. Okay, so starting off, we're going to start off with a cable curl, or again, any curl variation that is kind of elbow more in front of the body we want to be thinking about, taxing the shorten range. We're going to go with 2 sets, 8 to 12 here, and then we're going to hit the brachial radialis. Obviously a hammer curl. This could be a reverse curl as well, whichever one you prefer more. Just pick one and progress it. But again, with this, you're going to hit that brachial radialis, but as well as that, you're going to get some bicep stimulus as well. But I just figured you would run a cable curl, whether that looks like with D handles or just a straight bar cable curl, and then you would just go super time efficient and run a rope hammer curl, or again, if you have like a Vulcan rope reverse curl, that is a freaking fantastic variation as well. 2 sets, 7 to 10 for that hammer curl. Moving on, we go into the adductors. This, I like adductors to start off leg day, just to kind of open up the hips, warm everything up. 2 sets there, 8 to 12. Don't skip them, boys. If you want big legs, you got to hit your adductors. Trust me. Seated hamstring curl, 3 sets of 8 to 12. With hamstrings, I always like starting hamstrings. I like placing hamstring curls first, okay, like adductors, hamstring curls, just due to the fact that first off, your hamstrings can never be too big. Like you've never seen someone with too big of hamstrings. And as well as that, it's going to warm up your knee joint for exactly what we go into next, which is the leg extendo. 2 sets, 7 to 10 there, straight sets, make them nasty. Get that blood flow into the quads. Again, a lot of people are like, isolations or compounds first. A lot of people are like, well, you got to do your compounds first. No. I would highly recommend trying to do isolation work on your leg days prior to your compounds. Okay. Not only for injury prevention, but as well as that, it's not going to take a substantial amount of weight off your top sets, and it is going to lead to better internal connection. Okay. Trust me, try it out. Again, that's kind of personal preference. You got to kind of toy around and be your own experiment and see which one you prefer better. But again, a lot of people, after they try isolations first, they will choose that. Okay. Now moving on to the big boy, we have the hack squat, 2 sets of 6 to 8 reps here. Again, this could look like a pendulum squat, a Smith squat, whatever you have available at your gym. Hip thrust. Moving on, we have a hip thrust, or like if you're a dude and you really don't want to work your glutes, like this could be like a dumbbell Bulgarian split squat. This could be, you could hinge with 2 times a week frequency. You could do a hinge pattern here, like you'll see on our lower B session. Again, this is where, when it comes to a client, like if they have aspirations of competing, I would have them hit a hip thrust, right? If they don't, and they're just a normal dude just trying to get into shape, I might have them hit another hinge pattern, maybe 1 set of a hinge, and we'll hinge with 2 times a week frequency. If it's a chick, I'd probably have them hit a hip thrust, right? That's just where it's person dependent, and you got to know their goals, right? Now, last thing we're going to end off with is calves, because we're not going to skip them. 2 sets, 8 to 12. In that second set, I would do a rest pause or myo rep set. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what that is, but it is a great way to add in a little extra stimulus with not accumulating much fatigue. Okay. Moving on, upper B, so we'll take that rest day and then we're into upper B. Kind of like the same layout structure here. We're going to start off with cable ab crunch here. And now this is where this session is going to vary a little bit. So we're going to make it more of a push dominant session. So we're going to go with a single arm cable lateral raise here, 2 sets, 8 to 12. And as well as that, you're going to see I have a long rope plus a long rope pullover. So what I would do for a client here is just to drive a little more stimulus and get blood flow into the lats. I would hit your sets of single arm cable lateral. When you're taking a break in between, I would do just not even working sets to failure. Leave like 2 to 3 reps in reserve, but just do the long rope pullover sets in that 8 to 12 rep range. Get blood flow into the lats. I love doing pullovers prior to lat training. Again, it's kind of like that same thing with the quads, like a leg extension before your compound hack squat. The same thing with a pec fly before a press. It just gets blood flow into that targeted muscle, and it helps with muscle groups that you are struggling to connect well with, okay? So that is how I'd go about that. So those long rope pullovers aren't really working sets to failure. They're more so 2 warm-up sets, leaving 2 to 3 reps in reserve. But again, you're getting a little extra stimulus to the lats, and as well as that, you're getting a better internal feel, okay? So we're hitting those single arm cable laterals, long rope pullover, and then we're going to move right into the machine flat press, 3 sets of 6 to 8. Again, this is going to hit the entirety of your chest. Obviously, it's going to be biasing the mid chest. But again, a machine flat press, a pec deck fly will hit all 3 parts of your chest. Okay. Then we're going to move on to a single arm lat pull down. Again, I love single arm. Allows you to line up better with the machine, allows for a better internal connection. And again, single arm movements, studies show that they do recruit more muscle fibers as well. Okay, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Whether you do this on a cable stack, pull up a bench and align yourself with the cable stack, or whether you have a nice machine at your gym and you can use that as a single arm lat pull down, or if you don't have an option to do a single arm lat pull down, simply do a close grip pull down. Okay, you can do a close grip pull down, keep those elbows in your line of view and drive elbows down to hip. Okay, it's the same thing. It's working in the sagittal plane and it's a pull down. Okay. Then we're going to move on to a higher incline press variation. So that first day that we did more of a 20 to 30 degree incline press. This one, I would do like a high incline Smith press where like your bench is set up at like 45 to 60 degrees, right? Just to make sure that we're hitting it at all angles. So again, with this, it's going to be a little bit of a higher incline, or you could even use a seated shoulder press machine, but instead of using the wide handles, use those close handles, okay? Because that is going to get a lot of upper chest as well as your front delts. Okay, so we're kind of getting the best of both worlds here with delts and upper chest, but again, just hit a higher incline press variation that you did on the upper A session. Or again, if maybe front delts are really, really strong in a person's physique, I wouldn't have them even hit a higher incline press here. I would have them hit another 20 to 30 degree incline press, just because we don't need any more front delt. We just want more chest. Okay, that is where it's person dependent again, and it's going to vary so much depending on the person. But we're going to go with 3 sets there. And again, with this volume, like you're going to be like, whoa, 12 sets chest, like that's high. Yes, it is high. And I think a lot of people would benefit from pushing the boat with the volume. Again, we said this person has a lagging back and chest. Okay, we're trying to bring those up. Those are the 2 main priorities. And again, if it is too much volume, that is exactly why you log your lifts, and that is exactly why you take that data and you implement it within your training. If things aren't progressing, if you're going into your session feeling sore, flat, etc., you drop the volume. Okay. And again, I'm not telling you to copy this exact volume. This would be more like beginner volume, like you're not super accurate within the gym. But again, it's a good start point. Or if you just want to start at 2 sets for every movement, see how progressions are. Okay. If things are progressing at a super fast rate and you think you can add more, add 1 set at a time. Okay. And if you are noticing progressions are slow or they're stalling or you're regressing, take sets away. Okay. That is how to go about your volume. But again, I think a lot of people are worried about doing too much, but they're not doing too much. Okay. So 3 sets, sorry, rant there. That 3 sets of that higher incline press, or again, person dependent, it could be a lower incline press. Moving on, we have a T-bar row, or again, any chest supported row, whether that if you don't have a T-bar, it could be a dumbbell incline row. It could be a cable upper back row with no chest support. Like I said in the upper session, it's kind of what your gym equipment is like, and as well as that, what you connect well with. This could be a Smith machine, bent over barbell row, etc. 2 sets, 6 to 8 there. And then to round off this upper B session, we have dumbbell lateral. Again, we already hit our lateral. We hit a lateral raise variation in this at the beginning of the session, but honestly, can you have too big of side delts? Probably not. 2 sets there of 8 to 12, and then to round off the session, we have a rope overhead tricep extension, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, just because on that upper A session, hit a normal tricep extension extending towards the ground, and now we're going to hit a over the head variation, so we get the best of both worlds there. Now to end off the week of training, lower B, try to keep it quick because I've been ranting for a while. Starting off, again, we're starting off with arms. Again, why I wouldn't hit your biceps after your a set of bicep curls is not going to take away from your leg day. Okay, it's not. Hopefully, I'm still with you. It's saying that I'm not connected. All right, we should be back in action. Okay, but what I was saying was the biceps before a leg day will not take away from that leg session. Okay, but if you do a full leg day and then do biceps after, your bicep training is going to suffer. Whether you like it or not, that leg day is going to leave you absolutely fried if you are training with intensity and training properly. Okay, so that is the reasoning behind biceps prior to the leg day. Okay. But we're going to go with 2 sets of a single arm preacher curl, or if you don't like single arm work with your biceps, okay, you don't need to do it. You do 2 sets of a bilateral preacher curl, or maybe you'd rather do a single arm cable curl, etc. I do recommend some single arm work, just for the fact that it does recruit more muscle fibers, right? There's a lot of studies on it, and as well as that, a lot of people, like, it will help with the internal feel that you get within the connection on that exercise. Okay, moving on. Incline dumbbell curl, 2 sets there. That is to tax the length and range, or this could look like a behind the back cable curl, etc. Just something that is going to be more biasing in that length and range, heaviest at the bottom rather than the top. Okay, now we have 2 sets of calves, 8 to 12. Again, first set straight set, second set rest pause set, 2 sets there. Moving on, we have 2 sets of a lying hamstring curl rather than seated, or maybe your gym only has a seated hamstring curl or only has a lying hamstring curl. Hit it 2 times a week. It is not going to make a huge deal. You can run these same exact movements multiple times throughout the week. Okay, you can change up the rep ranges. You can change up the exercise ordering to give you that variety within the week. Okay, or you can just hit them at the same time in the session and just progress them over time. Progressions are going to be a little slower, but that is okay. Okay. Moving on, leg extension, again, 2 sets of 7 to 10. So you're going to notice like the rep ranges I kind of changed here. Just a little bit of a lower rep work, right? Rather than having that 8 to 12 rep range, maybe you want to increase load a little bit and go with a little lower reps within this session for your isolation work. Completely fine with doing that. And that is a great way to add variety within your training while running these same exact exercises. Again, just switching up the rep ranges and the exercise ordering where you actually place that exercise in the session. Like, again, you'll see, like, we have adductors last in this session, but in the last session, they were up there at the top, right? So it's just it's just giving you that little bit of variety within your training, okay? Moving on, we have a plate-loaded leg press, 45-degree leg press, 2 sets of a 6 to 8 rep range, and then we have a RDL. But again, like, if you want like the rep ranges too, like all these rep ranges are just guides, okay? Rep ranges are guides in general. You need to find what rep ranges you prefer for each muscle group, right? Obviously, I wouldn't go too extreme with the rep ranges, but again, anywhere between that like 5 and 15 rep range, that is the sweet spot, I believe. If you land somewhere in between there, you're going to be good. But again, for like a leg press, do you really want to hit a 12 rep set? Is that going to provide much benefits? Probably not. By the end of that set, you're probably going to be breaking down form, taking forever within your set, and not composing yourself. Okay, so 2 sets, 6 to 8 reps there, and then we have a RDL or SLDL. This would be person dependent, just depending on what, like literally what movement fits their body better. Like some people work better, their body works better in an RDL. Okay, that's more comfortable. Some people work better in an SLDL, or personal preference. Okay, again, as long as we are hinging at least once a week, again, maybe even twice a week, depending on who the person is. If you are hinging 2 times a week, you might want to be dropping this volume to 1 and 1. Okay, because it is a very demanding movement. But again, do your hinges, whole posterior chain going to be worked. Not only is it going to build your glute, like your erectors, your hamstrings, your glutes, it's going to work that whole back. Okay. And then to round off the lower B session, we have adductors, 2 sets of 8 to 12. Okay. I ranted too long, but that's an example of a 4-day split. You can call it upper lower torso limbs because we kind of hit the biceps at the beginning of the leg day. But again, that is how to go about setting up things. Hopefully you took something away. Hopefully gave you a little insight on how to go about programming. Again, the sets and the rep ranges will vary person to person. You have to find how accurate you are within your training outside the gym variables for your recovery, etc. And again, that's where log booking, like you'll see next to all my clients' training plans. This is just an example that I drew up this morning, but log booking your lifts, right? It's simply data, okay? It is data for you to look at whether you can add more sets or whether you need to take away sets, okay? So log your lifts, guys. Progress them with standardized form. That means add weight, add reps, but keep form tight, keep high quality form. Do not sacrifice your ego for your gains, right? If you're adding weight but form is getting worse, then you're probably putting less stimulus on the muscle. And what drives muscle growth is mechanical tension, load being one of those factors, but so is your tempo, your range of motion, your proximity to failure, setup, and execution. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it here. That is the 4-day split. If you are interested in online coaching, inquiry link is below. And like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Have a fantastic day, and we will talk to you next time.